What's up, everyone? You're back with me, Ian. A huge welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Meets. The date is Wednesday, the 30th of March, and I can't actually believe that. A third of the way through 2020 already, almost. Where has that gone? I hope you're all doing well out there in the cryptoverse. Crypto prices have crept up again this week, and it looks like the bears might be starting to come out of the cave. And it might have been just a consolidation period after such a great 2021. However, I'm personally erring on the side of caution. Today, I am really excited and honoured to welcome Dr. Jesse Reich, CEO of one of the leading and frankly OG blockchain games, Splinterlands. I'm just going to do a quick sound check. All right, Jesse, do we have you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good. So I've just got to run through some admin, Jesse, and then I'll jump straight back in, all right? So give me a few minutes and we'll dive in.
Do the thing.
Cool, man. So, as always, we record these sessions for people to catch up later. So if you missed any of the old shows, then you can get them on YouTube. Just head over there, search DappRadar. You'll find hundreds of educational and analytical videos to help you along your journey. So what's been going on this week in the world of dApps? Unfortunately, the biggest story this week is about Axie Infinity, in case you've missed it. Hackers have taken 170 or more than 173,000 ETH and more than 25 million in USDC from the platform. Katana Dex is not the only dApp in the Ronin network that's taken a hit, and unfortunately, as news of the exploit has spread, the whole Axie Infinity ecosystem has felt the shock. And this has all happened at the same time as the new Axie Infinity fee structure came into play. So it's safe to say the team over at Sky Mavis has their hands full right now. My thoughts are with them. Good luck, guys. What else? Minecraft, the biggest selling game in history, which counts more than 170 million players around the world, has opened up to let people from the Alien Worlds metaverse in and start earning Trillium. So Alien Worlds is one of the most extensive play to earn blockchain games, metaverse platforms, and it's a real regular on the DappRadar top 5. What's going on with DappRadar? So we've integrated Moonbeam and Moonriver DeFi dApps into our TVL and DeFi rankings, as well as we've added their NFT collections across the two networks to our dedicated NFT tracking. On top of that, you can now track Optimism dApps on DappRadar. So to say we're growing would be an understatement, and we're taking our capabilities even further as the industry and you guys, the community, demand more. Go and check that out. And last but absolutely not least is a little upgrade to our popular portfolio manager in the NFT financial view. And that just lets users analyze their NFTs in a really easy way and look through the profit and loss and the values without getting distracted by the pretty pictures. But don't worry, you can still see the pretty pictures in the gallery view. Go and check that out and see what you think. It's an incredibly useful tool for those with assets kind of scattered across loads of blockchains. Really useful. So without further, let's get into it. Every week, I sit down with the brightest minds, leading protocols, blockchain games, NFT projects, and DeFi dApps. We want to talk to them, get a better idea of what's in store, and kind of peel back the layers of that facade that is the brand. And we give you guys, the community, a chance to ask all those difficult questions. So remember, stick up your hand, I'll put you on stage, and you can grill Jesse. Every attendee of today's AMA can grab a POAP, a proof of attendance. You just need to message Cornelia after this. It's actually easier. You can find her in our general chat because she'll be in there and she'll send a message at the end of this. So make yourself known and you'll get your POAP. Before we dive right in and to just get everyone on the same level with Splinterlands, it's a collectible card trading game which is infused with NFTs and some DeFi mechanics, and it lets users play to earn. It really is an OG game in the space. I've been working in dApps for nearly 3 years now, and Splinterlands has been there the whole time, and something that I've regularly seen, written about, and come to understand. So, Jesse, let's jump straight in. We like to start off with what I call the elevator pitch, and I basically want you to pretend that you and I are trapped in an elevator. I know. We're in there for about a minute, and I want you to kind of give me the Splinterlands hard sell. Like, why should I be paying attention to Splinterlands?
Well, first off, if we're in an elevator, I'd want to make sure you're okay and healthy. I'm just kidding. Look, here's the deal. Splinterlands is one of the oldest trading card games and like NFT projects in the space. CryptoKitties was blowing up back in 2018. My partner and I, Matt, were in a restaurant down in near Philly. And we were having a conversation around kind of a blogging platform and some marketing projects we had been working on. And at the end of that conversation, he said, what we really ought to do is make a game. And we were seeing this and thinking, look, what CryptoKitties developed was absolutely astounding. We wanted to go use these NFTs, but we wanted to give them utility. CryptoKitties wasn't much of a game; it was mostly collecting, and we really thought that the heart and soul of this would be a game. And then we also made kind of a weird choice at that time of we didn't want to go build our project on Ethereum. We watched how CryptoKitties, just that little project was enough to go sort of like entirely clutter the chain. And we said, oh, wow, there's probably lots of ways to make a lot of money here. But if we actually want to build a long-term sustainable game and have a really active community, that would be very difficult for us to do. And so we ended up going in a different route and picked a different blockchain. But, I know that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Vitalik's creation and what the Ethereum Foundation has done and that entire ecosystem is amazing. But, what Matt and I want to do more than anything is scale cryptocurrencies to a mainstream audience. Now, so far, we've reached 1.8 million registered users. I have something like 800,000 paying customers. We have over 500,000 daily active accounts playing. We're in 142 countries, 9 or 10 different languages. We do somewhere between 1 and 5 million transactions on any given day on chain. There's more that are off chain.
Yeah.
And actually this past week, we hit 2 billion games played. So we've done a lot for a little 2-year-old company that started just in a restaurant in Philly. And, and we're just trying to, but our ultimate goal isn't really any of the things that I've already mentioned, because we're still at the very bottom of mainstream. Once we hit 1 million registered users, I said, oh, we're mainstream. But then it's like, well, you're the very bottom of mainstream. And what I want to do is make this thing as popular as possible and get it out to as much of the world as humanly possible.
All right, let's just keep the doors of the elevator closed. Let's keep talking, because I'm in, Jesse. I'm in. And just to mention what you said there, just to touch on that about launching on Ethereum, pretty brave, bold move, man. At that time, everybody was kind of gravitating towards that, but respect, and it's worked. So, yeah.
Well, everybody used to ask us. They didn't phrase it this way. It was basically, why didn't you idiots build on Ethereum? It was so obviously the economic choice. But if unless you have like one of the top projects, and even then, it's really hard to do gaming over there. One of the biggest problems is like all the transaction fees. So not only is gas expensive, so there are games that have been built on there, but then you get times where it's like, okay, you have a $5 card, but the gas fee is $160, so you can't trade the card. So then. If that's the case, you can't even buy the card because you can't trust that you'll be able to sell it later. You just can't do anything. It's like risky to invest or to purchase any assets there. So, and then beyond that, you want to play and it's fun. And it's like, okay, if every single time I have to play this game, I have to pay $160, that stops being fun very rapidly for like 99.9% of the people on this planet.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's an excellent point, and good to get that out there early doors. Some people don't quite get that yet. They're not quite into the gaming side of things, so it's good to get that out there. Some of the more attentive listeners may have heard that I introduced you as Dr. Jesse Reich. Am I right in saying that you have a PhD in chemistry, Jesse? How do you go from that to blockchain gaming? I'm sorry if you've been asked this a million times. Like, give me the.
No, it's fair, because when people ask me my background, I think I have one of the weirdest backgrounds possible to be here. So I went to Texas A&M and I got a PhD in chemistry, and I worked for industry. I worked for BASF, which is the world's largest chemical company. I did that for a couple of years. Got a little jaded. And I taught high school for a year or two, and I'm like, that's not fun. That was a lot of work and not always all that rewarding. There were a couple times that it was pretty rewarding, but that was frustrating. And I started being a college professor. There was a military college near Cape Cod, and I taught there as a professor. I was like one of the youngest professors in the entire school. I was like 27, 28 as like a full PhD and assistant professor track. And, I thought hand grading was really important, and I was doing that. But then my first daughter was born, and she was just like the noisiest kid ever. We weren't sleeping, and I was like, okay, I need to use some online homework to help my students, just because I can't like sit here and manually grade everything. And the homework tool that I chose was actually so good that it really helped my students. And so I told the publishing company about it. And the publishing company said, all right, well, we'll hire you to go talk to other professors about your experience. And it started with just kind of like some online pitches, and then it morphed into like a full-time job. And then that company got bought out by one of the biggest publishing companies in the world. They're like a $5 billion per year revenue business. And I started working for them, and I would do sales up and down the East Coast and led teams, and really learned how the publishing industry worked. Yeah. Less from like a video games platform, but the funny thing is, like, trying to teach people about online homework software isn't that much different than trying to teach people about like blockchain and crypto. Blockchain and crypto are kind of like college level courses. You're not going to get them in high school, and even if you did, the amount of stuff that you could actually cover in high school isn't all that substantial. But it's kind of like a college course, and so a lot of this career has been teaching people about crypto and doing so like an educator, and trying to both evangelize this product and it just so happens that the hardcore nerd in me that wanted me to go get a PhD chemistry is the same thing that like made it so that I loved playing D&D as a kid, or Legend of Zelda when I got sick, or Civ 3 or a million other games all growing up. So I did a lot of game design, and so I brought the sort of sales and marketing background to the partnership, mixed with game design. And Matt had like all the programming and really like a strong product understanding of how to like design product and how to ship code to produce it. So we needed one other person. We ended up hiring a graphic designer, like a visual artist, and that was our first real hire to the company. And that's your like core team. I don't know if anybody here ever gets inspired to make projects, but the core team is sort of your sales and marketing guy to deal with the humans. Your programmer guy that can design the product and like actually make the code, and then you need somebody to make it like visually appealing and easily digestible by users. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of your three. If you need like the holy trinity of Web 3.0 startups, those are the three people that I think you need, or those are the three skill sets that you need. I mean, maybe there's a unicorn that can do all of that, but you're probably better off putting it in a couple people.
I've not met any of those yet, but no, that's you heard it here first. That's a great tip from Jesse, and I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And I think it's interesting that you were selling, and a lot of CEOs of companies come from a sales background, because if you want to be successful, I mean, bottom line, you've got to understand how to sell, and you've got to understand how to like empathize with your customers and give them what they need, and blah blah blah. So this partnership sounds uber strong and like a great way to set things off. So it makes perfect sense, actually, Jesse. Like the whole PhD in chemistry, that all goes hand in hand. So
especially at the beginning back in 2018, you have to have some people that are really bright and can like see a little bit into the future of like what's going to be coming, because it's pretty risky to just be like, all right, well, let's go stop everything else we're doing and try to go get this game off the ground.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work and a lot of time, and but both Matt and I, having been in cryptocurrency since 2016, having built some community around us, and having a good understanding of what this space is. What one of the things I saw back in 2018 is that there was just no consumer-facing applications. Like you could like find an exchange and trade on it, but that wasn't terribly rewarding. It's like, yes, you can make money, and there were a handful of artists that might sit there and like trade all day, but that wasn't going to bring the masses into crypto. It might bring billions of dollars into crypto, but it wasn't going to bring the masses. And so one of the, Matt and I just like inherently love cryptocurrency. My objectives for this company are to spread peace, prosperity, and freedom. And I think cryptocurrency is the single best tool to do that. And our game is really about wrapping really complicated, decentralized finance applications and ownership through NFTs and fungible tokens, and doing that through gaming and some fun and building a nice community. And all of that is with this idea that if we can get more people involved in cryptocurrency to really own their own assets, experience economic freedom, that this is the best way to change the world for the better and try to have nice things in this world. And We want people to do crypto, and we just don't think that the like financial applications are going to be the thing to bring the mass markets in, but gaming can. And so it's our hope that, through our hard work and efforts, we'll onboard the mainstream audience into crypto.
To be thinking about that in 2018, Jesse, is pretty amazing, really. If I look at now, 2022, and what's been happening over the last kind of, let's say, 8 to 9 months, more actually, a little bit more. But it's really popped off in this scene, and the fact that what you're saying here about how using an exchange, it's kind of boring. Like, yes, it brings in a lot of value, and I guess that's why DeFi is measured in TVL. And it's that gamification of making money and kind of having fun at the same time has become so important, and it's basically opened up blockchains to an entirely new audience. And you guys were there at the start, so just to kind of touch on that, you were there at the start, so it's been a pretty long road for you guys already. Can you tell us about any things that really stick in your mind, like significant wins, fails, ups, downs, that kind of thing, where one day you got your head in your hands and the next year you're hitting 1 million users? Like, is there anything that really stands out?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we did, and it was so many different steps. So first off, when you launch a project now, we were able to get away with, and I think you can still do this, where you can launch NFTs for your project before it's even functional.
Yeah.
In the free to play space, I talk to some of the big game companies now, and they'll be like, look, what we do is we get millions of dollars and we park it somewhere for 4 years, and we build this next kingdom creator game, and then after 4 years we unveil it, and then it hits the market. And in cryptocurrencies, you don't have to do that. Before we even had a fully functional website, we were selling NFTs. Yeah. And in our first partial year of doing this, we did a couple $100,000 worth of sales. And both Matt and I were had no idea that would happen. We were like, well, this game is cool. We're not really here building a business. What we're here doing is just building a game. And, if we happen to make any money, it'd be amazing. But, we're just, Matt's favorite phrase is, we're just trying to build the game that we ourselves would want to play. We know about all these cool DeFi things. We know about, ownership and economic freedom. We know about crypto. If if all the hours that we spent playing these games could finally be rewarding to us, wouldn't that make a giant lasting difference in our lives? And so that's what we go out to create. So first off, I think we got lucky and it's not luck in the same sense, but this industry allows us to do a bunch of sales even before the full game was started. So even though we've barely raised any money in this entire process, and we were able to go sort of bootstrap this because that's part of the how this whole ecosystem works. We created a fungible token that had a reward pool. So when you started battling each other, you could start earning prizes. And I think we were one of the first guys to really do that. And so now we didn't call it play to earn at the start, and there might have been other companies that were doing this too, but it's all some variation on Satoshi's white paper, right? Yeah. There you get a reward every 10 minutes and one person gets it. Mm-hmm. And that is it's an amazing stroke of genius, but it's a little clunky for a gaming environment. Mm-hmm. So we built kind of some pool rewards that are similar to that, but now they release every block, which on our chain is every 3 seconds, and there could be multiple winners per block. And so that way you're rewarding people all across the spectrum all day long, and I think that leads to more engagement than just here's your one winner every 10 minutes. Yeah. So we built that. We built the tournament system. Even the Hearthstone doesn't have a tournament system, and they've been around forever, and they're Blizzard and a multi-billion-dollar company. So that helped us. But I think the final breakthrough happened last June, where we wanted to. Our goal is to build a fully decentralized game, and we want the players to just completely own this. We'll keep developing it, and we'll be hopefully one of the lead developers. But we want the players to own it, and we really want that to be the first fully decentralized AAA game that's ever been created. And in doing that, one of the first steps of that is creating a governance token. So we created a governance token and put that on Binance Smart Chain, and that whole thing just blew up. I mean, we went from 10,000 daily active users to over 500,000 daily active users in the span of 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
It was crazy watching.
Just wild.
Yeah, it was crazy watching and commenting on it, like from our side, to have seen you there for so long, and then suddenly just this SPS token, bringing the token and brawls as well, right? You brought brawls in,
Yep. Yeah.
and
Nice.
then it
Yeah. So that's how guilds can compete with each other, is the brawl system. So the first major system was that like asynchronous tournament system. Then we built it into brawls, and one of the next phases is boss fights, because we know that everybody wants to go kill epic beasts out there.
obviously.
We have land. Land is another big piece for us, and that's coming out. We think that'll be huge for us. And we have all these like we're trying to make our governance token as decentralized as possible. And once like more of that foothold is in place, and we talk about that internally as our validator node system. Once that validator node system is out there, one of the next things we want to do is start layering in more and more DeFi rewards and tools, and there's aspects of that are stable coins, and really have we measure. It's so funny, like when companies come to us, and whether they're VCs or they're the gaming companies, they ask us all these questions that I'm sure every single legacy free-to-play game gets asked. What's your tell me about your cohort, give me some cohort analysis, how many players are still playing, and we like Matt and I almost couldn't care less about those stats. What we care about is like what are the total assets in the game worth? How many millionaires have we created? How many people that have bought into this are now owners of $100,000 or more? Like what our metrics that we're tracking are. It's weird to sort of try to talk to these Web 2.0 financial institutions about our Web 3.0 business, because the metrics are all things that we just don't track.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate, right? Like our game makes plenty of money. It's got a very high net margin, so we don't actually have to sell our soul until we find like the exact right partner and the people that we want to do this with, because we can just basically keep operating forever as we are. But at some point we'll find somebody that sort of like gets that vision along with us, and then we can pour some external cash on this thing to start seeing where else we could take it. I mean, one project that we're working on is with Warner Music.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who that is, but they own like a third of the music industry in America. They have some of the biggest bands. They got Atlantic Records, so like basically all of hip hop is operated by Warner Music. And so it's just like a giant opportunity for us, because they have all these artists with these giant fan bases, and again, this really fits in with the overall goal of what we want to do is mainstream crypto. To money for this entire community and all the participants that are involved in it, and that to us is sort of the holy grail of what we're going after.
The Warner Music thing really kind of lit my eyes up. I'm a big music kind of guy, and I was just wondering, Jesse, I'm going to ask you anyway. I'm sure you can't, but is there anything you can spill about the artist that you potentially might be working with? Maybe even just a genre, like a little hint.
Well, they cover all kinds of music. Yeah. So what we have at least 2 projects that we're still figuring out what we're doing together. But I think there's strong consensus to build multiple games, and those games could involve artists across many different genres. So, I see that. I want to do individual bands and individual acts or musicians, but I also see ways that this experience is like a single sign-on, right? Once you have your keys to this platform, you can use it in any kind of app that's built there. And so, I don't just see this as one artist and that's it. It's like, well, how do we get multiple, and how do we build a game that has content that's enjoyable for the fan base? Because at the core, what we're really selling is entertainment. And so we have to make sure that we have a fun game. It's not just click to win, and it's not just like grind to earn, but it's actually a fun experience. And it has like NFTs or lifestyle NFTs that are meaningful to the fans and to the artist. But if we can get that, and we can build that in, I don't see any reason why it has to be, this is the one band we're working with. It would be more like, this is the first place that we're starting. And then we are growing it from there.
Yeah, definitely. No, I was just really sort of interested if there was any specific person or artist, as you say, which you have said it would be cool to do that. But yeah, it's the bigger picture, and that's kind of the trend here as well, which I really like. What's coming from you, Jesse, it's like there's a lot of play to earn and game price stuff arising right now, right? And I'm sure. I mean, how do you feel about that? Having been in this scene for a while, like, how do you feel about this sudden eruption? Like, you're in the spotlight, so it's great, but there's other projects out there who have kind of fallen off. And how do you feel about this kind of explosion right now, like, other than being super happy? But
I'm mostly skeptical. Okay. And you'll have to forgive me, I've gotten a little salty over the years, but one of my favorite quotes on this is that, like, the most likely thing that's going to happen in the NFT space is you'll raise a lot of money and produce exactly nothing. The second most likely outcome is that you'll raise a lot of money, you'll produce something, but then it fades right away. And it's really like that third category that's like super like hard to achieve, of you're going to create something, it will have value, and it will stand the test of time. And that, I think, is incredibly hard to build. It's incredibly hard to maintain. I mean, we get attacked all the freaking time. People are trying to steal money from us in different ways that try to, create unfair advantages in the game. We're like constantly under assault. That's part of what makes these games like anti-fragile, is that you constantly have to design around every single challenge that the community poses to you. But it also makes it rather difficult, and you started the show with like the Axie hack. My heart goes out to those guys. That's brutal. You like build your game for years, and that kind of crap happens, but that kind of crap happens, and it happens frequently, and that's one of the dangers of this space. And the projects that I keep thinking about, like the big gaming companies that are like, we're going to go build out here, and I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're
no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, when your audience gets NFTs, they become electrified, right? Because they know that if they get other people in there, they can grow the value of their own asset base. And so this entire community is like extremely evangelical for the product, but they're also, on the flip side of that, they're not just passive consumers anymore. They don't just like buy a music CD and then they're like, all right, great, I'm a fan and that's all I care about. No, these guys might have like hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. They're gonna ping you in Discord. They're gonna try to find your home address. They like reach out to you all the time and try to exert their opinion, their influence, their whatever in the community, because they have certain things that they want. And I don't think that the big companies, like the traditional Web 2.0 gaming companies, are going to be ready for that. Or you have to figure out how you're going to build these reward pools to go incentivize your users to engage in the content. And you have to really be a good steward of the economy and do so with the buy-in from like the mini winnows to the major whales. You have to like design economies for all of that. But again, it goes back to like Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper. So you have to like get in a boardroom with a bunch of boomers that haven't cared about blockchain to this point, but everybody's talking to them about it. They don't understand it. And now you have to be like, we have to go design aspects of this like that. And then, for us, one of the companies that we talked to, that's like a major gaming company, I asked them, how many servers does your game run on? And they said 1. And I'm like, that's quaint. Ours run on 30. So like when we scaled from 10,000 daily actives to 500,000 daily actives, we're not scaling one server. I got a code base as big as like War and Peace times 2, and it runs on something like 30 different servers. And every time that like we like, as soon as we fix one, there's another one that we're like, oh crap, the bridge to that blockchain is now exploding. better fix that. All right, we made it so it could 100x. That'll hold us for now. But now this thing that handles some process, like our rental system, we have maybe as many as 1 million rentals a day, and we want to grow it because that's like a major way that people can participate in this economy without being forced to be the gamer every day. But even that one process, we need to make sure it scales. So we have like 30 servers that do this. And just that whole package, when you ask me how I feel about these other guys and other things, I'm thrilled that they're here. Welcome to the party, pal. But it's a wild ride, right? But it's a wild ride. This is a rough space, and my heart goes out to them because we had by us being a bunch of nobodies that built this. Some random ass PhD chemist, not an industry gamer. Matt being, he worked on Facebook games and things and built airport terminal games. But he wasn't like, from the biggest gaming industry. He wasn't like CEO and chairman of Blizzard or something. The fact that we were just kind of a couple dweebs that did this was really to our advantage because we got to learn all our mistakes on audiences that were like 10,000 people or less. Whereas these guys are going to come in, they're going to make their first game, they're going to get like 1 million people there, the damn thing's going to crash overnight, and then the economy is going to break like 2 weeks later. And that's going to be a rough intro for a lot of big companies. And maybe that doomsday scenario won't happen. Hopefully they figure it out. Maybe somebody listens to me and hears some of this conversation and says, okay, maybe we didn't plan quite enough for all of this. But that's my biggest takeaway, that there's going to be a lot of people fleeced. It's going to be pretty unfortunate, and the guys really have to. It's really all about sustainable economy design, sustainable game design, making sure that the damn thing is fun, and managing your community. And by doing that, you just put them first all the time. And that's the best sort of set of conditions I can provide for project owners and big companies. And we try to help people. We try to coach people. We're not like this space is so new and everything has single sign-on, or like there's ways to incorporate each other. So I don't really see it as like competitive, but so much as like cooperative. And we just want more people in this space. So I'm not here to dig on other companies so much as just try to, like, if you're a big project and you're thinking about coming into the space, it's really freaking challenging. I'm in Discord. Hit me up in my DMs. I don't mind helping other projects, and hopefully I can get some of your stakes off the table early, so that it's not a $600 million mistake at some point.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, just at this point, Jesse, like, I just want to kind of say, like, the reason we do these sessions is to kind of understand, well, I think anyway, it's like who the real ones are out there in this space. And I think what you're saying and everything you're articulating now, it should be proving to the community, our community and yours, who you are, what you're about. And I think it's really cool. But then a couple of things there that you said really kind of got me as well, like not coming from that AAA gaming background, and I instantly thought maybe it's for the best. Like, and then you exactly said the same thing. Like, and at the moment we do see excitement build around projects that put the team on the website, and this guy used to work at Rockstar, and this guy was at EA. Now you've said what you said, I'm starting to think these guys could get jaded real fast. Like, they may not be ready for the challenges, but it's a really interesting time, I guess. And then something.
Well, I like hiring devs out of like fintech more than I like hiring them out of gaming. Somebody that does insurance or banking. Like they seem to have a skill set that's pretty good, but they really come with that appreciation that money has value and like rewards that value. Whereas like your game designers, their normal first thought is, how do I hit you with as much dopamine as possible? Which means I got to give you rewards in the first 10 seconds or you're going to quit playing. But if you do that with like things that have real value, you'll dilute the value almost immediately. And you'll get bots that could scale up that will just like steal the value almost instantly. And so the like gaming people don't always come with a great mentality for what it takes to do this when things have real money value.
Yeah, and again, there's always loads of talk around like other companies, like Blizzard, Activision. You hear this, and it's kind of assumed to some degree that they may run this space eventually. And from my perspective, I kind of feel like they're kind of the old guard, and like you've just said, like really well, I think they need you more than you need them, kind of thing. Like, and I see Splinterlands being like the new Activision kind of thing. I don't see it in that way. Like, how do you think about that? Do you think they might fade? You know, like MySpace was big, then it vanished. Like,
Yeah, I'm super bullish on NFTs and I'm super bullish on crypto. I happen to think that NFTs are going to be the hardest form of money in the
okay,
world. That like,
nice.
just sort of like real estate in New York has tons of value because everybody wants to be there. When you get these amazingly popular projects, and everybody wants to be a part of it, it's gonna make that currency or that property the most valuable thing in the world. But the difference between New York real estate and an NFT is that, if you own that New York real estate, you probably are living there, or like you have to be able to access it to invest in it. Whereas like when these things are on decentralized protocols, anybody in the world can be a partner. So you get these kind of like, you,
See what you said.
you just get this like economy of scale of every single person in the world that has internet connection being able to buy your property. And I know that there's going to be a million NFT projects, but it's sort of like, if somebody builds an apartment complex in Dubuque, or Des Moines,
Limited,
or
right?
Austin, it doesn't really change the prices in New York City. So,
That's a killer.
so my take is that NFTs are going to be explosive. Crypto is going to eat everything. Blockchain and transparency, and not allowing big tech companies to rule over us, but us all sort of having decentralized authority, trusted amongst ourselves. That I think is a model that's going to grow. And my experience with the media company that I worked for is that like when you had new technology, they're going to try to like buy it and stifle it, because their legacy businesses are hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in revenue, which makes it tens of billions of dollars in value. And so you can't let this kind of innovative tech get too big, because it's going to destroy your legacy business. And so I think they're actually going to be, a lot of the companies I think will talk about interest, but their actual financial ties will keep them from being able to participate that heavily. And it's going to be companies like ours and companies started by listeners in this room and people that are partaking in this ecosystem that are going to design things that are so disruptive to the industry that will just eat their lunch. And maybe they'll buy those companies and try to manage them. Maybe they'll manage them into the ground. I don't know. Like I said, I've gotten a little jaded and skeptical about a lot of other projects in the space, because I don't know how they're all going to have. I don't think they've all been designed with longevity. They're designed with like cash grab, like features built in, and I don't see the long term commitment to like community and long term interaction. But I've seen a bunch of these projects now come and go. Like one of the last cycles I saw was like Polygon sunflowers, where like the whole cycle of exploding and falling apart was like a month long in total. So I've gotten a little jaded on people that I think we're just ahead of the curve. People eventually find out that like, oh well, when we used to ask, why did you idiots not build on Ethereum? I think they're going to come around and be like, okay, can you guys talk about how some of these other platforms work and what you really need to do to get economies working, communities growing, and gameplay that's fun while still having all these NFTs and blockchain aspects. And my door's open. I like talking to these guys. I'll try to help them.
And you might go full circle, right? You could become a lecturer once again, Jesse. Like you could find yourself on a stage one day lecturing these guys on how to create these projects.
I mean, I'd like to help them, because my goal is not, I hope that in the outpouring of all my work and whatever, that I'll make a ton of money. But it like doesn't really matter to me. The thing that really matters to me is like getting peace, getting prosperity, and getting freedom, and not just having that for me. And even if I had it personally, it would always be under threat if we, as a giant web-based netizen community, didn't protect that for one another. And so, my hope and my goal is to go spread that amongst everybody. And after, a decade of chasing and trying to figure out, well, what tools do we have in our toolbox that spread peace, prosperity, and freedom? I'm absolutely convinced that none is stronger than cryptocurrency. And so, it's not like my game is necessarily the 100% best cryptocurrency in the world. It's a game and it's fun. But what I do think that it is one of the best avenues into crypto, because it goes back to that problem of 2018 of exchanges are going to have tons of money, but it's hard to get a lot of users that just want to hang out and stare at a trading screen all day and have that be their life. Plenty of people will do it, but I think the idea is that if we can get gaming to be popular and do it using blockchain, we can basically have this infinite roadmap of how we get all of humanity into crypto. And I think that's the fastest way possible to us interacting peacefully, for us being prosperous as individuals, and for us having certainly economic freedom, if not other freedoms as well, protected by blockchain.
It's inspirational, Jesse, to be honest with you. I'm sitting here just nodding away. It's great to speak to someone who's of that kind of mind, of your kind of mind. These are the ideas that we all at DappRadar, we believe in so heavily, but as soon as you kind of step away from your colleagues and you start to talk, you get a slightly different response sometimes. But anyway, we haven't got long left, and I really want to jump into the kind of, let's talk about how people can get involved with Splinterlands. How can you? We touched on the token. How can you enter? What's the barrier to entry? What do you have to spend to get involved? And you mentioned rentals, so please mention that too, because that's a kind of new thing that's happening, but a great way for people to dive in. And let's talk about the tokenomics a little bit. How do people earn, and how can they get involved?
Yeah. So when the game starts by you get a summoner spellbook. It costs $10, and then if you're spending less than $100, I'd tell you, buy some credits and just buy some cards off the market. Hang out in our Discord. We're at discord.splinterlands.com. We got over 100,000 people in there. You guys can hang out. There's constantly people in there. They're always talking about strategies. They're very helpful to new players. So, part of the joy of our system is just hanging out with the community, because they're not, there are a bunch of nerds that love these kind of trading card games, but they're also good crypto people and good folks to know, and you can get into whatever arguments you want around prices of this or prices of that, or what card is the most powerful. And but what I'm trying to say is you can start with relatively small dollars, $10. It might be some amount in third world countries, but generally that's a pretty reasonable sum for most of the world. Buy some cards for $10 or $20, and you can start earning. The way that earning works is that when you double your rank, you can octuple your rewards. And so there's a heavy influence in trying to rank up. Some of the rewards start slower than we want right now, so we have an entire team looking at how do we make the beginning stuff work better. And I think that we have a really good plan, and it's partway through execution, but I need another month or so before I think it really starts getting implemented. But that it's not meant to take a whole lot. So because there's so many prizes, some people also will just rent cards. So we operate on a 2-week long season, and at the end of the season, you get all these rewards. So people will sort of level up and fight, and then they'll rent extra heavy at the end of the season to try to get up as high as they can. And what that also does is it makes it so that if you're kind of older, or if you have a bunch of wealth but you don't want to necessarily play the game, one of the things you can do is buy cards and rent them. So there's this entire we have an entire group of users that don't really play the game, but they play the meta of the game, which is how do I spend as little money as possible to build up the most value of assets that I can that achieve the highest return through renting as possible. And as you rent, we still have 120 days left of an airdrop for SBS tokens. So not only are you buying the asset, not only are you earning with it, but there's secondary earning through the airdrop, and then there's tertiary earning because there's staking rewards for SBS. So if you buy an asset, you fight with it, you through the airdrop, you're getting SBS, and then if you stake it, there's staking rewards. So one of the things that our players talk about is that there's just so many different ways to earn. We have an entire tournament system. We've given out millions and millions of dollars for for people that are playing this game. You fight in these tournaments and you earn prizes. So lots of opportunities by how
And
you
with
can earn.
the
And we try to keep it affordable. I mean, like a pack is $4, right? Well, this isn't where you come in and spend $1,000 and that's your entry. It's like buy a pack, $4. Kind of like we're trying to make it mimic the experience that we had when we were kids. You'd go to the store, you'd spend a couple dollars, lunch money, not rent. And you do that to open up a pack and be able to
I
participate.
love that, like that kind of the nuance there. That was exciting, genuinely. Like we're probably of a similar kind of time frame where I used to do that too. You get home, you rip it open, and hope and pray to God that there's a shiny one in there that you're going to trade off with somebody else, and that something you've got is just the rarest thing going. And it was awesome, and it really did occupy us. I remember, like that was playground. That was what we did. Like, and I can see how. Also, like I see how Splinterlands and the same kind of games, they're tapping into those kind of features as well, those psychological features of ripping open a pack, and like it's not just kind of like you said, click and grinding. It's pleasing on the eye almost, like, well, not almost. It is. It's engaging. It's not just it's not Dex or here, put some money here and you'll get some more there. But just in regards to that, and in terms of the token that you have, like, is there any way where people can just literally buy your token, stake it in the platform, and then just kind of sit back and hope that you guys do all the things you say you're going to do?
Yeah, there's a Pancake Swap is the main place that we go. A lot of these big centralized exchanges are looking for millions of dollars for listing fees, which makes that sort of complicated. We're trying to do this for the little guy. So there's a lot that we like about the decentralized pools. So Sushi Swap and Pancake Swap, we do a bunch of trading on those. I do think that there's going to be some listings coming up, but we'll see. Those things are always in negotiation. But I think the big part is you can literally just buy assets. You come in, you swipe a credit card, you buy some packs, and either just for owning the packs or for opening the packs and getting cards, you can start getting an airdrop and you can start earning our SBS by literally just holding the NFTs that you used to play. So
low barrier entry, and then like it really truly is. Like some of these games, you're looking at hundreds, like you said, rent. So it's something you can try, and not even if you end up not enjoying it, whatever, you're not going to be deeply out of pocket. So that's cool, man.
Yeah, my daughter, when she was 9, I could get playing. It's not the easiest game to pick up. It's not Candy Crush. It's a little bit harder than that, but if you can read and you can dedicate a little bit of time and you like these kinds of games, then most people come here that have any kind of experience and they say, "Oh, I know exactly what that is. It's a trading card game." And then they sit around for 10 minutes and they're like, "Holy crap, this thing is totally different than what I've ever played before." And they have complaints or frustrations, or they love it or whatever. And then after about a month, they're like, "Okay, I think I'm starting to get this."
But they have to put that level. You've got to retain them for that amount of time, right? Jesse, I've just had a couple of questions fired at me from my colleague, DappRadar. Actually, he's pretty good questions, man. Let me shout them out. So, question one: right now, Splinterlands is a card game. Land gameplay already adds a different game mechanic to the mix. Would it be in the realm of possibilities that Splinterlands will become an MMO or other 3D type of game in the future?
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening over time. It's probably not in the next 3 years, but what part of my inspiration for how our game works is definitely World of Warcraft. And any of those towns you go in, there's like a bread dealer or a bowman or something like that. And I've always thought, wouldn't it be better if those shops were run by actual humans and like literally put every single part of that into the other players, so that like you could literally have a job where you start a business and you operate. I'm here to go produce these things for this game and have that pay your rent and have that pay your life, because you are providing value in the form of entertainment in this ecosystem.
Right.
So I see that sort of stuff happening.
All right, cool. And then his other question: how big will the impact of land gameplay be on Splinterlands as a game and the SPS as a currency?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would say big. There's 150,000 plots of land, and in the land, we're planning on having it. So you have to have a summoner working it, and you need monsters, potentially up to 5 that are working that. So just keep all of this is with until the formal white papers are out. We withhold the right to change things, but that's sort of like a high level of what we're thinking. But in Splinterlands, one of the things that drives the collectability is that in order for a monster to reach max level, what you do is you combine cards, and so for a common card, you might need 500 or so cards to make it go from level 1 to level 10, and it takes those cards out of circulation as they get more powerful. And so when there's 150,000 plots of land, that could be 750,000 cards. But then when you think about that, each card getting to max level might need 500,000 of them, or I'm sorry, 500 of them. We're now getting to very large numbers of cards, which I think is in excess of what we've even done. 500 times 750,000. There's 375 million cards, which is more than what even exists in the game now. And so, I think it's going to soak up a lot of your spare cards, because you're going to want the resources. And the way to get the resources will be to have the highest level cards and the highest level buildings and the highest level everything on there that you can. And I think it's going to drive a lot of demand for cards. But again, there's no crystal ball here. That's just my suspicion.
No, I think it's a good suspicion to have, man. Definitely. And Rob, I hope that answers your questions. Good questions, man. Golf Wars, I see you've joined us. Have you got a question for the good doctor?
Hi, good evening. Am I audible?
It's a pleasure. Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, I've got him on mute.
Yeah, I have one maybe a simple question from my side. There are traditional games, and then there are Web3 games. So I just wanted to know what are the major challenges and differences you face while making a gaming project in Web3.
Yeah, Web3 I think is orders of magnitude harder. You have to run the game on multiple servers. You have to worry about hacks that you don't really have in Web 2.0. There's tons of people that are trying to commit various forms of fraud all the time. You have regulatory uncertainty. There's a lot that's in the space that's a lot harder than just you're spitting out another free-to-play game. But again, the rewards seem like they're substantially higher here, and the competition is still relatively low.
Nice question, man. Nice question. Thank you, Golf Wars. I've got another question on text here for you. All right, let me get this right. Growth was great with new player rewards being higher. Is there still no plan to reinstate the new player rewards, even with the new anti-bot technologies that have been implemented? Apologies for beating a dead horse. Just looking at last several months' growth, I have 23,000 SPS staked in the game.
Yeah. I mean, so we did a quick band-aid when there were a bunch of bots that joined with that explosion. It basically knocked our economy in a weird way, so that it became pretty easy to exploit. So we, rather than fix the root problem immediately, which we couldn't quite grasp at, it took more work to try to figure out what that was. We said we want to go get a longer-term solution that would work and actually fix it. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that our economy is not exploitable. So we yanked some of the lowest tier rewards, which were where a lot of the abuse was coming from. And then what we're doing now is reinstating them, because we figured out how to do it better. But that it did hurt some of our growth at the lower level, and I did hear some players say, "What the hell is the point in playing? It's too hard, and I don't have any money to rank up." So yeah, it wasn't. Not every part of that was perfect, but we think we have the right solution. And I made a reference to it earlier in the show, but I think we're about a month away from implementing it. And I think there are a variety of things that we have planned that will drive growth and really benefit the community and the economy as a whole.
All right, thanks, Troy G, for that question. And I think he was being kind of sincere, like with that one. He was, like he said, poking a dead horse. But we've got another guest. I've just let you up onto the stage. Do you want to ask the question?
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Howdy. Do you have a question?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, do you have a question? All right, maybe we let somebody else in.
Well, we're coming to the end, Jesse, actually, so I'm just going to wrap things up here, actually. But I think we
can't hear you, but I hope
everything.
you guys are
looking at my massive list of roadmap, of course. It's going to be an important year for Splinterlands. Any, what's shaking? Q2, Q3? Anything you want to throw out there to get people a little bit more excited about possibly jumping in?
Yeah, as we grew our business, we also grew our team. So back in June, we were probably 15 people. Now I think we have over 100 that are, if not full timers, they're people that we contract overseas that act as full timers within the company. So we've grown substantially. We used to have one sort of product team, and now we have 4, and we're expanding that as we work with other partners too. The first one is working on land. The second one is working on the modern versus wild. A lot of games do this where they split the modern cards off into their own arena, and they do that. They do it to sell more cards. We do it to make it so that it's more affordable, so that you don't have to buy every single card from all the editions if you want to compete. So we have land, modern versus wild, and then we have the validator nodes and sort of this whole DeFi platform that we're working on. And then lastly, our 4th team is sort of like the rapid projects team, where some of the smaller stuff that needs fixing or working on, kind of like some of the ranked rewards changes that we're doing, that's there too. So those are some of the big projects that we currently have under development, and that I think will make Q2. The second half of this year is really when I think most of those things will land. So I think you're going to see kind of another explosion of growth out of Splinterlands happening in kind of like I don't know, somewhere in Q3 or Q4 of this year.
Nice, man. Very cool. I think it's like, in the heat of the moment and the heat of what's happening right now, people are out there looking for projects, and they tend to jump on the newest thing, the freshest thing. But, I just want to make a point out of the fact that Splinterlands has been around a long time, and you guys have been doing what you do a long time, and that should inspire some faith and some trust, So I would implore people to check it out, man. Like it's a cool game. Like definitely check it out. So Jesse.
Awesome.
We've come to the end, man. We've come to the end, but honestly, I could chat with you a lot more. It's been great, and thank you so much. Like your answers, everything you said, articulated brilliantly. I really hope people have learned something today about the game and how it works, and more importantly, about you as a person and about the team around you and what you're trying to do here. Like it's been really cool, man. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and I also know you've got something bubbling there in the background that could pop at any moment. So I really want to thank you for joining the thing today. I know what that's like completely. I wish you really good luck with all of that, man. Like my love goes to you at this moment for that, man. That should be great. And
yeah, baby 5 will be fun to add into the mix. And,
number 5. Yes,
5. All right. So thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here. You're a great host, and I've enjoyed the question set and the audience. I've personally cited DappRadar in probably 50 to 100 presentations now. So I'm thankful to the business for operating and sort of showcasing, the number of transactions that we're doing and the number of accounts that are playing our game. I think it's been a nice marketing channel for us, and pleased to be associated with you guys. And it's a pleasure to be here. And hopefully somebody in my audience has gotten some wisdom that helps them in the future. And again, my one concern is I'm not trying to throw shade on other businesses. I welcome them all. I'm excited for this space, but I'm just trying to be very aware and acutely aware and open about there are some severe challenges in the space and building here, and that the more wide-eyed we all go into it, the better. But the opportunities on the other end of it, this will be billions, if not trillions of dollars of an industry, and the guys that really figure it out well are going to make bank.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the high
Yeah,
level.
man, I think that's a great thing to end on. Like it's an evolving space. I think people are getting super excited, for a reason. But let's be patient. Let's give you guys the chance to develop what it is you've set out to do. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So again, Jesse, thank you, man. Been great. And I just got a bit more admin to do, so you can hang around and listen to my spiel, or you're more than welcome to jump off. All right. And I hope
Yeah, I'm gonna hop.
I hope we catch
Thanks, Ian.
up in the future at some point, maybe at the end of the year, and we're talking about billions of unique active wallets and all those sorts of fun things. All right. So you take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.
Sounds awesome.
man.
Thanks, Ian.
All right, so guys, that's all the time we've got for today. A big thank you to my guest, Jesse. I think you can agree he was awesome. He dealt with all the questions amazingly well. And I hope you all learned something today. And maybe you'll go check out Splinterlands. So tomorrow here on Discord, my colleagues Boris and Pedro, they're going to take a deep dive into NFT collections from the past, the present, and right now. And the point being that they're trying to predict where we're going. It's a hot space right now, and it's difficult. As Jesse said, nobody's got a crystal ball, but history does give us some indication of what's going to happen in the future. So tune in, listen up, and see if you learn something there as well, all right? But thanks again to my guests, the audience. It's been great, and I'll catch you all next week.